Hello again, everybody, and welcome to the Vegas Voice Seniors Vote. I'm Dan Roberts, publisher of the Vegas Voice, and our job is to introduce you to all the wonderful people who have decided to run for public office. We have a fantastic one today. She was with us once before, and I'm very pleased that she came back, and that is Jill Douglas, who is a Senate candidate for Senate District 6.
Hi, good morning. I'm glad to be here.
I thank you so much for being here, for putting up with me. And Jill, what I'd like to do is I'd like to discuss the particular issues that are affecting residents of Senate District 6. That includes our people, our seniors. And what do you think are the most important issues that everyone out there should be aware of?
Thank you for that question. As I knock on doors and I meet and connect with voters, overwhelmingly, their number one issue right now is the economy.
Okay.
It's the pain points of the cost of living. It's what it used to cost a year or two ago, what it is costing now. The prices of groceries are astronomical. And unfortunately, there is a large segment of my district that are seniors that are on fixed incomes. Mm-hmm. And I hear sad stories where they're like, I can't afford it. My income hasn't gone up. Yep. What I'm having to pay in utilities, what I'm having to pay for groceries, what I'm having to pay to put some gas in the car and my insurance. Their option is they're skipping meals.
Yeah.
And so I think we really need to be mindful of how do we alleviate some of these pain points for individuals on limited incomes. And this is when I think we need to really take a look at what we can impact. And I think there are things that we can do. We can enhance property tax exemptions. We can do some sales tax holidays. We can reduce the tax on gas. We have to be responsive to the needs of our senior community. But the economy, by and large, no matter where I go through the district, everyone is concerned with how much they're paying for the cost of groceries. After that, crime. Everyone has seen the soft on crime policies have basically incented crime. Mm-hmm. A lot of criminals are coming in from other states to commit the crime, and this crime is bleeding over into our neighborhoods. And so our constituents, they're not feeling safe. They're afraid to go out of their homes at night. And, we need to address that. And then I think the third most talked about issue is actually education.
And what's interesting about that is that I can see many seniors saying, I don't have any kids in education. I mean, they're not, they're all grown up. My grandkids are someplace else. I don't care about education, but it really is very important for them too.
It's very important. Most of them do have grandchildren. So even if their grandchildren don't live here, they're still very, very concerned. And the cornerstones of a strong community are, number one, an educated community. Right. Because our future is the young people. And them receiving an education so that they can be contributing members of society. Mm-hmm. And so the next component is a safe community. So we have to have an educated community. We have to have a safe community.
And one of the things in your on your website, I should say, is you talked about healthcare. Talk a little bit about that. How does healthcare affect everybody, which we know it does?
I think we have a shortage of doctors and nurses, and, it's supply and demand issues. We need to make it easier for doctors and nurses to be able to move here and get into practice. And we have some barriers to licensing that we need to remove. We need licensing to be reciprocal. Many in that career field, if they move here, and they have to go through hurdles and testing and it takes months. I've heard it taking as long as 6 months. So, you need to be like, if you're licensed in whatever state, it should be instant issue unless you've had some kind of disciplinary action against you. It should be instant issue. So we need to increase the supply of doctors and nurses, because one of the pain points for the seniors is the wait to get care. Right. And how you address the wait to get care is you need more doctors and nurses. You also need advanced certification programs, because a lot of the care could be provided through advanced nursing care, and you don't always necessarily need to see the actual doctor.
Or go running to the ER on any given basis. You mentioned the protection for seniors, but you also have a special interest regarding veterans.
Yeah.
And I think I'd like to discuss that because many of our people are also veterans.
My father is an Air Force veteran. My husband's an Air Force veteran. I have two sons that have served. One is still active duty. So I have a special place in my heart for the military and the sacrifices. We owe the military our greatest level of gratitude, and their needs must be a priority with us. So in partnering with VA services, we need to streamline the processes. We need a point of entry that takes ownership of the issue for a veteran, because one of the things as I've talked to veterans is they get the runaround a lot.
Yeah.
And they're not sure where to call, and it's a frustrating process. And I feel like we need to have a system to where they make one call, that the person that they talk to takes ownership of the issue, knows exactly where they need to go to get the help that they need.
Well, you mentioned that, and what we have found out dealing with the seniors and our readers is that everyone's going to talk about, well, I'm running for the president. Who am I going to vote for? Vice president, maybe even the U.S. Senate. But you know what? It is those who deal with constituents on a daily basis. And I guess my question is, can you at least guarantee that once you become a state senator, at least if somebody calls you or they email you, you'll get back to them? Because most of the time people just want to know that my elected official got back to me, or he or she heard what I had to say. And I mean, that's extremely important.
I appreciate your saying that, because, all politics is actually local.
Yeah.
Now, the presidential elections get a lot of attention, and they should. But we cannot forget these local races, the state Senate, the state assembly, the county commission. These are the offices that affect our lives every day. They say politics is local because all pain points start locally. And unfortunately, what you're saying is so true, that individuals get elected into office and then they forget who they're representing. They're supposed to represent the people. In other words, the people are the boss, and yet they become very unreceptive to the needs of the individuals. Within my district, District Senate 6, as we've talked to voters and we've done surveys, over 90% of the people have no idea who their state senator is. And that's because she has failed to be accessible and failed to connect with the voters. The two things that I want to do, number one, is I want to create a communication portal so that any voter knows whatever your issue is, you call this number and we will find the resource that you need and steer you in the right direction. We will be responsive. I will do town halls because I want to know what's on the voters' minds and I want to know what their pain points are. And the only way you can be an effective representative is when you're connected with the voters and you're talking to them and you're hearing from them. And we must do that. And then I want to create a citizens advisory council. So when we have issues, I think issues are best solved when you bring people to the table and you brainstorm. That's nonpartisan. Yeah. And you bring everyone to the table and you say, how are you impacted by this issue? What are some things that you would do to solve it? And you bring people together and you discuss it and you come up with solutions. But you can only do that when you're connected with people and you're talking to people and you're creating those forums. They don't exist now because there has not been any concern at all for the people in Senate 6.
So with all the different policies, the positions, the one thing that I'm going to hold you to, I'm going to tell you this right now, is that if for some reason, not for some reason, but once you become senator, if somebody in your district has a problem or a concern, they can speak with you and you'll get them answers. They may not like the answers, you may not be able to fix it, but at least they can say, my state senator heard me.
That's right.
Well, that's it. That's great. I think that's fantastic. That's the biggest thing I think you can do. And in the time we have left, people want more information. Early voting's coming up. How do they get a hold of you, et cetera, et cetera?
So first of all, you can call me on my personal cell phone, which is 702-497-3352. You can email me at jilldouglas.com. And you can go in on our website, www.jilldouglas.com. I'm sorry, let me go back. My email is jill@jilldouglas.com. And so we're very accessible. You can reach out in a multitude of ways. And we want to hear from you and, appreciate that.
And more importantly, you'll get back to them.
I will get back to you.
I mean, you're not going to ignore the constituents, which I think is just a great thing that you have and what
Thank
you're
you.
doing. I thank you so much for being here. We wish you the best of luck. And again, we're talking with Jill Douglas, candidate Senate 6. And we will see you again next time. Jill, again, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.